Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today on Tamper with the Plan. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Nancy Laurel Denise planner. This is the Laurel Denise horizontal planner. And this is I have a couple pages popped in up here up front, but this is a 2025 that I did redate for 2026. In this video, we are going to be talking about different ways to use this horizontal planner. So if you don't know anything about Laurel Denise planners, these pages up here do not come in the planner. They are popped in. So let's ignore those for right now. But you start with the name page. You have a holiday page, a yearly overview with goals and things to remember, and special dates and events list. Again, this has been redated, so it looks a little messier. But this is the Nancy Planner horizontal that I will be using just as demonstration throughout the year. So if you guys have any questions about how to do something, let me know and I will get some information out on the channel about it. One of the most unique things about a Laurel Denise planner is she has these little Dutch door pages that flip for your weeklies. And this section here is your weekly. And then you can at all times see your monthly. This is what we love about Laurel Denise planners. Any gal that's loving a Laurel Denise planner loves just being able to see the whole monthly all the time. And then you have some note pages back here, which we'll have a further video on this later on how to use this note page. I'll talk about a couple things in this video just to get you started, but we will do a full video on the back pages in the future. So let's get started on different ways to use this horizontal planner. Let's just say you bought the Laurel Denise planner, you're not sure what you want to do with it, and maybe you're new to a horizontal and you're not sure how it's going to work for you. We're going to do actual examples on different ways to make this work. Now this is a large, and these tips do also work in the mini Laurel Denise or the small Laurel Denise horizontal Nancy planner as well. Okay, so first off, you can see that we have the horizontal that goes all the way across, which this is very, very unique. You usually see like 3 or 4 days over here, 3 days and a note section over here. I love this layout. This is actually my favorite planner layout that I've actually ever used. And it is because it's versatile, and it's also because it's so unique. The first thing you're going to notice about a Laurel Denise planner, if you have it on your desk, it's landscape. This Nancy is landscape. All the Nancys are landscape. She does have a couple portrait that go up instead of across. And so it does take up quite a bit of space. So I'm going to show you a little hack. If you are not interested in having it open quite as full like that the whole time, you can flip over those back note pages and just leave these guys out for use. For the purpose of this video, I think we're going to kind of just be flipping it around how I would if I was planning in it. So the very first way to use this planner is the straightforward way. You have a to-do section over here, and this can be changed, or you don't even have to change it. You don't have to use it as a to-do section if that's not what you want. This is a this week section, which is meant to be like a this week to-do list, which we planner gals love in our planners, having a list like this. There are a couple planners out there that don't have this list, and it's always missed. It's just one thing that's mentioned as having, you just need to see like a section of things that you might want to get done for the week. So straightforward, you can just use it like that. So let's look at that for a second. So I'm just going to put, for instance, appointments. Let's say I have a 3 p.m. dentist. So I'm putting that there. Let's just bullet it out. We can say work 10 to 4 p.m. So we're just putting like a general list, maybe meet mom for lunch, or, you know, I meet my mom, but you can meet anybody for lunch. Okay, and this is just a very straightforward way that people use this planner. They just kind of make their list of what is happening on this section. And then over here for to do, it would be something like, you know, cleaning, like sweep and mop kitchen. And then maybe we say set out chicken for dinner. Okay, and so you can do other to-dos, and you can write smaller. So I wrote pretty big there, but there is actually a lot of room. You could make a lot of little bullet journal or bullet points here for things you want to do if you have a lot to do that day. we can just really take it and just write a lot smaller. So this is the very first way, straightforward way. And then we might just have like a list of things for this week. Okay, so maybe you want to do returns. Maybe you want to send a card. And you say who to. You can also make this a lot smaller. You can fit a lot on here. If you have a lot to do for the week, you can do a ton of little bullet notes and make a list here of everything that needs to be done. Let's say car wash. You could do cleaning things over here. Bedding, wash bedding, pack for trip. Okay, so anything that you need to do for the week will be in this list over here. And then you'll just grab from this when it's the correct day. So this is the very first straightforward way to use the Nancy Planner. Any type of appointments or things that you are going to over here, you can also put errands here, and then just a very to-do list. You can make this home to do, you can make it all to do. You can put errands over here. I have cleaning and dinner stuff over here. So that's the first way. Now I do also have room over here to put like dinner. So we'll say chicken parmesan. Okay, so maybe we're making chicken parm for dinner, so I can put that there. I'll put a big D so I know what I'm talking about. So it has plenty of space to write other things. This is number one, how you can use it. And it's just the straightforward appointments here, to-dos over here, and a little spot for dinner over here. Also in this week, you could use for dinner as well. So I could do something like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then just write the dinners for the whole week over here instead of having a to-do list for this week. So there's a lot of space over here, a lot of things that you can do on this column here. So that is way number one. Now I do want to note that Laurel Denise can start on a Sunday or a Monday. I choose a Sunday start, and it's another reason that I really love Laurel Denise, because I do not have to be changing this like I do in every other planner that's a Monday start. I reday it to make it a Sunday start, and then I always have to redate it as well to make it the correct date for a Sunday start. When you get a Monday start from Laurel Denise, your calendar will also be Monday start. So if you don't like that, if you like a Sunday start, you can redate the calendar portion, or you can get an undated, date the calendar for Sunday, date the weekly for Monday. So those are options there, but that's just a side note. We're gonna go for number two, how to use a Laurel Denise horizontal. And we're gonna call this bullet sections. Okay, so we're gonna kind of section it off here where we want appointments here. We're gonna do, let's bring in some errands maybe here. And then maybe I'm gonna do only cleaning over here. And just to keep it simple, I'm doing 3 dots, but you saw you can put a lot more in there and write small. So appointments, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna say 3 p.m. dentist. I'm gonna say work. I probably should have done work first, but 10 to 4 p.m. And then 12 p.m. lunch with mom. So now this section is appointments essentially. And then over here, I'm gonna do errands. So while I'm out doing all of this other stuff, maybe I wanna, do returns. Go to the post office. And maybe I want to go to the bank. So this is like the errand section. So now I've made 2 extra sections. So now with these 2 sections, I'm still gonna do a to-do like cleaning over here. So let's say something I wanted to clean. I'm gonna say launder bedding. Let's do a grocery order. That could be like a to-do order. For groceries, I could also put a list of things, like maybe whichever one of these I chose. I space these out a lot, but I could put a list of groceries that I need down here as the week goes by. It's just another way I can use this weekly list. Okay, so I'm gonna do a grocery order, and then I might need to make sure I sweep the stairs. And again, I can make that smaller and write more things in there, but I'm just doing like a kind of reasonable list of 3 things, but know that you can add more. Okay, so Let's do this a different route. This is still like a number 2 with the bullet journal or bullet sections. But right now I'm going to do appointments here still. So I'm going to say 3 p.m. dentist. And I'm going to make these my personal appointments. Work 10 to 4. And then 12 p.m. I'm just going to say lunch. Okay, now let's say I have things going on with my kids. I can put that here, and I can make theirs more. Let's say maybe they're busy. Okay, so obviously they have school, so we'll say 4 p.m. soccer, 6 p.m. ballet, 8 p.m. movie, and then let's say, okay, so then I have room for 2 more. Now, what we can do in here too, and I'm going to show you, is let's say we have, you know, 2 daughters. You know, one's going to play soccer and one's going to do the ballet. I can do different highlights. So 4 p.m. can be my oldest daughter, 6 p.m. can be my youngest daughter. Okay, let's throw a 3rd daughter in there. I don't have any daughters, I only have sons, but okay. So now I have 3 colors. And what I can do is at the beginning of the week or over here on the side, I can put, okay. Okay, so 3 daughters. And then I can put their initials, or, you know, for this, I'm just going to say daughter 1, daughter 2, daughter 3. But you could put your initials, you could write their name right there. I mean, you could write a full name there. Let's do number 2 as a full name. Let's say, Michelle. Okay. So you can see that that will actually fit. So now what I have is different colors for different daughters, their schedule, my schedule here, and then I can still do a to-do over here of things that I need to get done. Okay, so I might need to gas the car, call my mom for maybe she's doing a pickup of the kids, you know, like different things over here that I have to do. So same system, but I'm using it slightly differently. So that's basically number 2, some bullet sections, okay? Where you're separating, you're gonna use maybe some highlighters to help separate, and then you still have your to-do list over there. Now, another way to still use system number 2 is maybe instead of doing a to-do list over here, you do like personal, you might call this personal things over here, and then that can include workouts and other things, not just to do. So let's go to number 3. So number 3 here, I'm kind of just gonna make a list of, like, you know, the time of the day, okay? So like say in the morning, I'm gonna clean. And then late morning, I'm gonna work. And then afternoon, I'm going to take my daughter to the soccer game. Soccer. Well, let's do, I'm gonna scoot and put dentist in here. Work 10 to 4, 3 p.m. dentist. I'm gonna do 6 p.m. ballet. So now I haven't sectioned it off to mine and the kids. I'm just kind of making a little bit of a timeline. And maybe I have a call at 9 p.m. like a work call or even a personal call. Okay, like I'm calling somebody or FaceTiming or something with somebody at 9 p.m. So this can still be a to-do list over here. So now we have kind of like a timeline over here. And the way that we can keep this separate is very similar to this. Instead of breaking this up into children, I can break these up into topics. So I'm gonna do the topics over here, but just know you still have a to-do list over here. So we'll actually put some to-do list over here, and then I'm gonna do the topics over here. I'll do different colors so we don't get confused. So we're gonna say work. I'm gonna do a general for kids. And I'm gonna do a blue for personal. Okay, so now we have work in this green, and I'm just gonna write it over the green. And this would be up here or anywhere, even over here. So then we have kids, and then we have personal. Okay, so then I might do workout. Let's do 5 p.m. That could be the gym or whatever. And then run errands. I can do that at 5:30. Well, let's say 7 p.m. Whatever it's going to be there, okay? So now we're going to go through and work is 10 to 4 here, right? Okay, then I have the kids. The kids are going to be, let me grab the right one. Kids are soccer. Kids are ballet. Kids are going to the movie. And maybe the kids are dentist, I don't know. Personal, I'm going to do the light blue. And so now I can look quickly and I can see, I know I'm light blue. So I can look quickly and see what I have. I have to clean, I'm going to have a dentist, and I have a call. I'm going to work out at 4 or 5 p.m. and I'm going to run errands at 7 p.m. Let's say homework. One of the kids is doing homework at probably, we'll say the one that doesn't have ballet is doing 6 p.m. Maybe a homework study group. We'll say group. Okay. And then this can also be, okay, so ideally I would have done that better in time, but you know, sometimes your planners don't go in the line that you want them to go in, so they're not always in perfect time. But now you have all this green is work, the darker green, the lighter bright yellow is the kids' activities, and then the bright blue is my activity. So it's very similar to number 2, but we're using different sections. We're going to call this number 3 though, because the reason is because we're doing a topic highlight and we're kind of doing a timeline. So this one is bullet points. Okay, and I'm going to highlight all of these with orange. Number 1 was regular. And this one is topic. Topic colors. Okay, with somewhat of a timeline. And so the other good thing about this way is you're going to look at this part of your day first. So it's going to be the morning and then the early afternoon, late afternoon. This is going to be like evening, late evening things. This can be an extension or other ideas or to-dos over here. But you still have it color-coded so you know what topic is what. So this is another way to use it, super practical. And so now I don't need a separate planner. And this is, you know, I know the planning community, especially on YouTube, will have a different planner maybe for our kids. And then we'll have a different planner for work and we'll have a different planner for personal. But not everybody wants to do that and not everybody needs to do that. So here now you have just the different colors for your 3 topics. And you can add a 4th topic. Let's just say we had a 4th topic and I don't know what it would be. And then you would highlight that also for your 4th topic. Okay, so you can do as many topics as you want. You could write smaller. And I'm going to show you in the next way. We're going to block off for number 4. So number 4 is block. Okay, so for number 4, we're going to do a block layout. And I've done this a couple ways. I have put these into 3 columns going down and I put them into 4 columns going down. I think we're going to do 4 for the sake of this video, but just know you're going to have pretty narrow columns, but it does fit. And I'll show you, you know, obviously if you've seen an Ann planner, which is their vertical planner, columns are tiny. Okay, they're thin. So I'm just doing one and I'm eyeballing it. One in the center-ish, and then the other one's over here. Okay. So now I have 4 topics. Now these would go all the way up if I was doing this, but also if you're halfway through the week and you want to try the block layout, you can do this as well. So now I'm going to do topics on top. So we'll say work. Okay, we'll say appointments, errands, and maybe you have to make, you know, calls or emails. Okay, so I'm going to say calls, but okay. So now these are my topics on top here. I know they're kind of hard to see. They would be up here. When I do this, I put my topics right under here, you know. So, you know, like this. Work, appointments. Okay, so you get the point. I know it looks a little messy. What we're going to do is we're also going to color coordinate these, but when you have it blocked off like this, I've never had the need to color coordinate because work is always over here. For example, appointments are always here, but we're still going to just color code them for fun. Okay, so let's do different colors even yet. Do we have them? We do. So I'm going to make work is kind of light green. We'll do appointments for pink. We will do orange for errands. Now, if you're doing the block layout and you don't want to color code the topics, you can go into these appointments and color code the people. So the people that have to work. Maybe you're keeping track of yours and your husband's schedule because maybe his schedule changes a lot. So then you could come in here and assign your husband a color. And I'll show you that on Friday. We'll do that on Friday. But for work for now, I'm gonna say me, and I'll say 10 to 4, okay? And then I'll say M for my husband's name, and he will do 8 to 5, okay? So those are the work schedules maybe. Now if any of your kids work, you can also do their initial. So like my oldest son, and I will do 7 to 4. For an example, okay? So you can put everybody's work on there or just your own work or your husband's work. And you can also break it apart for your lunch. So for instance, we'll do it here on Friday. We'll say I'm not keeping track of anybody else. I'm just doing my work. So maybe I will do 9 to 12 and then I'm gonna have lunch. And then I do 1 to 4 kind of thing. So you can also do something like that. Okay, so this whole column all the way down is work. And what's nice is you can go down here and look and see how many hours you worked or whatever this subject is. You can see what all you did that week for that topic. So appointments. Okay, so we're going to make up some appointments here. Now this again can just be you. Maybe you have a lot of appointments, or it can be, you know, everybody in your family. So I'm going to say 3 p.m. dentist. And you see I do have to kind of write smaller, but I did scoot this over too much. And I'm going to put M for my husband. Let's do we'll do some of these from up here, 4 p.m. Now soccer is not an appointment in a way, but it kind of is, we can say. And I will put G3, for instance, my third son. Okay. And then errands. These are the errands that maybe I want to do. And what's nice about having them here, let's just say you didn't do your returns, because that's one of my errands, and you didn't go to the bank. It's right here, so you can arrow it down to the next day if you want. Or you can just rewrite it down on the next day. If it's bank, you can arrow it down and then add your new ones for the day. So maybe groceries. Okay, things like that. So here's your errands column, and then calls, you know, I'm gonna say mom, I'm gonna say my friend Joanne, whoever you need to call, maybe you need to email. And for this, you can say contact up here, and you can put, let's say call can be mom, email can be the bank or something, okay? So you have this whole section, so we'll say contact instead of calls. Let me just fix that real quickly. So you know this is who you contacted or called throughout the week. And what you can do is, you know, come and check it off if it's done, and then you can also see, okay, it's not checked off, so I didn't email the bank this week, so now I need to go back and do that. All right, so within this block layout, we're gonna do the work thing because we did do different people for work. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do, so for me for work, I can still have work as this green and then come in and do me. And then do my husband and then do my son with, I don't think I've used brown yet, okay. And then again, over here, I can have the key. You can do your whole family as a key over here. You don't have to just do the 3, but these are just examples. So this is going to be me. This is going to be hubs. This is going to be G1. Okay. So that shows you block layout. Now I have used this. Again, this is a 4 block. You don't have to do 4 over here. You can do 3 over here, which is what I've usually done before. It gives you quite a bit more room. But you can see how everything does still have room. And this is probably my favorite way to use the Nancy, because as I've been saying, you can see for the whole week what all your appointments were, what all errands you did, if you have them checked off or not, or if you still need to put them on to the next week. Who you contacted or didn't contact, and who you need to move to the next week. All right, and then over here, you have options still. This can be a to-do, or you can block it off and put a couple more categories. So let's see. I'm gonna, let's pretend you're into sports. So let's say if there's a football game, okay? I don't know. I am not into sports, so, but let's just say there's a football game on. You can make that a category. What else could be over here? Maybe stuff with the dogs. Maybe the dogs have grooming appointments and vet appointments. So football game and dogs can be 2 different colors. And now you do the same thing, where for the whole week, what do the dogs do? They groom 1 p.m. Groom. Maybe they have a 2 p.m. vet, and then maybe, what else do dogs, let's say I don't know. I know people take their dogs to daycare. We don't do that, but let's see, what else could there be? Park, maybe 4 p.m. park. You know, you take them to the park. So anyway, you can have your dog schedule over here. Football games, when do they play? I don't even know. I think Monday, and then what? Is it 7 p.m.? It's probably 5 p.m. So Monday, 7 p.m. And you can, this could be like your team, whatever your team is, right? And you could put a couple teams. You can have a color code for teams. So maybe you can do like an NFL team for gray, and then you can do your local college team, green, you know, NFL and college, or your favorite college team. Okay, and now you're gonna go in here, and Monday is NFL, and then I don't know, Tuesday is college, or Wednesday is college, I don't know. Put the team and say, I'm saying Tuesday, but I know that's not right. Tuesday, we'll do 5 p.m. And you could even put the channel, etc., or whatever it's on. Okay, so this is just a separate category, football games. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done something I know, but the point is you now have 6 sections if you want to block it off. And then one of these could actually be cleaning too. So you could just do cleaning. Now the other thing that I've done before is a menu. So I would do like breakfast over here and dinner over here. And so you can do that on these 2 sections. So let's say bagels, and let's say chicken something, okay? So you could do meals over here in a block layout. And I like that for in a block layout as well, because now I can see all the breakfasts down for the whole week, and all the dinners that I did down for the whole week. Okay, so that's number 3, or number 4 is a block layout. Again, you can do as many blocks as you want. So I know this is a lot and it's kind of confusing. Laurel Denise on her YouTube channel has a lot of examples of this as well that you can watch, and they go through per person instead of kind of, you know, down the list like this. But what I wanted to show you is all in one, just how you can use it, your appointments and your family. Okay, so we're gonna flip over to the second week, and now we're gonna go to number 5. So number 5, it's going to be still a block layout, but I'm going to make it a little different. So this is work, appointments, errands, contact, you know, we did some silly things on the end, whether it's breakfast and dinner or, you know, football games and dog schedule. What I wanted to try to talk about in this type of block layout for the next is kind of combining several planners. So if you've seen a lot of planner channels, you know, for instance, we might have a wellness planner, we have a work planner, we talked about this a little earlier, we have maybe a cleaning and home planner, you know, like just all for us. So not kids' schedules, not family schedules. A lot of people have those on Google Docs anyway. We don't. We write it down and discuss it. But if maybe if we got super busy, we might do on Google Docs. But let's just say you want to track several things in your planners, but you don't want several planners. Okay, so we're going to do the block layout considering that. Okay, I'm still going to do the 4 sections. We're going to do it for Sunday and Monday up here as an example. And I'm eyeballing it. You can certainly measure it and mark it and just make it a little neater. You can do this with washi, which is what I've done in the past, or pencil. Actually looks like a mechanical pencil, looks really nice to block it off. And I think we'll still do this over here. Okay, so I'm gonna think personally of what I have planners for. So I do have a work planner. I have a home or cleaning planner. I do have a wellness planner. And I think I'm gonna do wellness over here to take 2 sections. Okay, and then what else do I have? I have a journaling planner in here. Oh, this isn't my planner. If you haven't seen my channel before, I do use Laurel Denise planners, but I have kind of blasphemed them and put them onto Happy Planner discs. I know, but I'm just gonna flip through this real quickly and kind of think about, yeah, so goals, which can go into wellness, and then projects, to-dos, yeah. So I'm gonna do home as my to-do, really. Wellness over here, I wanna do basically movement, and I wanna do self-care. So if I was only using a Nancy planner, this is how I would set it up. At least I think, because, you know, I don't only use the Nancy planner, but I have thought about it. It's just with having a planner channel, you kind of want to show several planners. So work, home, let's do errands and appointments in one. And I think I'm going to just say, I'm just going to say errands. But I could slash and do appointments, so we'll do that. Just so you can see, I could have scooted that over so it looked neater. So errands and appointments, and then let's just say, I think I'll put one for boys. All right. So my subjects are taking place of planners that I actually have right now. Work planner, home planner, errands and appointments, and boys. And again, this would go all the way down so that I could see all of my work for the whole week. It would go all the way down so I could see everything I did for the home, everything, all the errands and appointments, things for the boys, movement and self-care, which is essentially exercise, workout, and self-care over here, which is a wide range of things. And then the other thing that I would want to do is do a breakfast and dinner here. Okay. And I'm gonna make this much smaller, but we'll draw a line down. Because I still want room in the this week column. Okay, so let's do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And let's say eggs. And I could make this like lines if I wanted to. So this is kind of like a meal plan as well. Okay, so a little on this week is a meal plan, and then I have a whole list of things that I want to do that I can grab for any of these things. And this can be, I can section these off too, and I could do work up here. and do my work and then do my home. And do exercise, you know, or wellness essentially. And then I can make a list of what I want to get done for work, what I want to get done for home, and what I want to do for exercise. All right, so let's come back into here. So for work, I can put the times, and let's say 9 to 5 for the time. Let's say film, edit, and upload. Okay, so that's what I do for work. And now I can actually write in here, film 10 Nancy. Now, that is super small writing, but if it's in there, and this is a 0.5 pen, it's 0.5 ink in here. I switched it out, but this is 0.505 ink in this friction pen. So it writes smaller than a thicker pen. And I think this one I switched for the 07. Let me check. Yeah, so let me show you how it would work with this pen. So upload, this is the 07. Let's say upload setup. You can still fit it, but you can just see how thicker the writing is. So setup fit, Nancy would have fit, right? So I'm guessing we'll do, and then we'll do edit, edit January. You see January is kind of hard to see with that 07. It would have been much clearer with the 05, but you choose. So I also use a friction pen. This is just a tip, a little hack with Laurel Denise planners in case I want to erase something. Okay, so this is what I have for the first day. I'm filming the 10 Nancy's, which is what we're doing right now. I'm going to edit January, which I will edit later today. And then I'm going to upload the setup, which I actually already did. So this is real life, what I did for work today, and I'm going to do it in between the hours of 9 to 5. Okay, so for home, I'm going to say, and I'm going to put sweep, stairs, fold. I do fold all the time. What else do I want to do? Let's do some declutter because I have a couple of bins I need to look for. Okay. Now for work, I wouldn't normally break down film, edit, and upload like this. I would probably say put the name of my channel, like TWP, Tamper with the Plan, up here, and then maybe do eBay list too. So I wouldn't break it down like this, but I'm just showing you like how much room it has. But I would probably, and I can even come back up here if I wanted to and say eBay and do 2. So now I put eBay 2 items up there too. So it has a lot of room if you're willing to write small. Okay, so I wrote 3 things in for home, and what I like is it doesn't, sometimes I make a huge list for home and cleaning and then it's just impossible really to get done. So it does limit how many things you can put in there, but you can write really small and get quite a few things in there. So for errands, I'm going to say returns. I'm going to say USPS, say I have to go to the post office maybe. I'm going to say the bank. I'm going to say groceries. And let's say gas in car. Okay, so now we just fit 5 things there in errands. For the boys, let's say they have, let's say they have a game. I can do their school, and I can write a couple subjects for school. Math, geography. We're just going to do what they did today. Reading, oops, red, reading. Okay. And then let's say, what else? We'll say like trash day, which it's not, but I mean, so look, they have a game, and I would put, I guess, like 3 p.m. And then I put a few subjects of their school there, and then I put a trash day. So it fits quite a bit. And this is all for Sunday, but then again, the whole week of what they do, the boys do, the whole week of all the errands that I have. Maybe Sunday's really busy, but Monday's gonna be less. Maybe I didn't get them all done and I can move a couple to Monday or Tuesday. The whole thing that I wanna do for the week of home and the whole thing I wanna do for the week of work. Now we're gonna flip over just so you can see better movement. So I'm gonna say P for plan and D for did, okay? So let's say I plan arrow full and let's say 50 squats. And then what I actually did, maybe I did arrow jumping instead of a full, and then maybe I did 25 squats. And I can also put in here steps and do like, you know, my steps, which I don't do a lot of steps. All right, so in this instance, and you don't have to put what you plan, did, and then my steps, and I have room for all that. Self-care is going to be something like face mask, paint nails, maybe do hair, nice, do hairs, more than one hair. What else can I do? Stretch is good self-care. Okay. And so again, this could be what I want to do. I could also do plan and D. P for plan, D for done, and self-care too. But you can see there's a lot of room here. It looks like it's not a lot of room. Of course, this is the large. And I have done this with the small. So let me show you an example of the small. Because you're going to see it's not as little as you think. Yeah. So I did 5 in the small. What do I have here? Okay, so I have 6. So this is the small Laurel Denise. I did 5 columns and a list over here, and you can see I can actually fit quite a bit. And again, I can see everything that I did, everything that I did. So that's with one less column. It would be definitely smaller to have this in for, but again, that would be like the small Ann. And let me see, I have that in here. The small Ann is like this, where it's 4 columns. So now you can see the width is only to here, okay? So that's 4 columns, but that's essentially what we're doing. We're blocking it off to 3 columns, but we could block it off to the 4 columns. I just lost it, okay? So it still works in the small, if you're wondering, to block off. You might want to do only 5. And here's a small Ann, which has 3 on the one side, although this little column is smaller. But 4 over here. So it will fit to have 4 in the small Nancy as well. Again, you're just gonna have to write smaller. But I actually really enjoyed the small Nancy while I was in it, and I wanted to use it again this year if you haven't seen my videos, but I didn't buy 2026 small, I bought 2026 larges. So that's what I'm using, and I'm going to make 2027 a small, but that's a side note. Those setups will be on the channel soon. All right, so this is an example, and like, so this is, I did write a lot in these. I do tend to write a lot in my planners. So, and it's kind of scrunched. It might look messy, although you could write smaller and more can fit. So this doesn't have to be the limit. And the one thing I do want to remind you about any of these layouts is you have this whole section over here too. So let's say I only wanted to do errands here. I could put appointments on the actual days. Obviously birthdays and anniversaries are going to be over here because it's going to be my only planner. I can also come in and put appointments over here, and I can make a color coded key. This usually has the months up here, but I put a sticker over that. But I could do a color coding key over here for birthdays, anniversaries, and appointments so that I know which one I'm looking at. So like today is the 14th. I can go in and make sure I don't have any like blue appointments, pink birthdays, green anniversaries on the 14th. So this is a different way. So this is it, not just a category way. That's why this is number 5. Is that unlike categories over here for number 4, we're actually doing entire different planners that I would have separate in these categories here. Okay, so I did do Sunday and Monday like that. So let's just put a couple more in here. Maybe on Monday I have less time to do things, so I'm just going to maybe invert, and take my vitamins. And for exercise, maybe I just walk for 20, if I can spell. The boys don't have a ton. Let's just say they have school. I can write the subjects or not. And then for errands, let's say mom to doctor. Home, let's say I want to dust all. And then work, maybe Monday I'm only gonna work on eBay. Okay. So you don't have to have a lot of things to have these categories. You can have just one or two things, and obviously it looks like this, which I like. They'll look better than kind of crunched. But the whole point is it's very organized in its spot. Now I could go through and color code as well, but because it's in a column, I've never felt the need to color code these. I just keep them in the column. And now I'll see everything from home down the row, everything for errands, everything, you know, etc., etc. And I really did think about doing this for 2026, but again, I have a planner channel, so I decided not to just do one planner just to show you guys. But that is why I'm doing some of these videos, because this is how I was going to set up my planner if I chose to use only one. And then do remember you have these back pages as well, and this could be meal planning back here instead of over here. It can be lists of to do this month. What I have done before is done like a cleaning list, a work list, an exercise list, some goals, etc. over on this planning section too. So, all right, that is number 5. Let's go to number 6. Now for number 6, it's kind of a similar take on the regular number 1. Remember, we were kind of just writing in, except it's going to be a little more organized, and it's also a little bit of a take on the block layout, except now I'm doing, I want to put number 6, but I'm doing categories on the side now. So for instance, this is always going to be my appointments top. Okay, so top is always going to be appointments, and I can draw a line, or I don't have to draw a line. I could do a dotted line, you know, type of thing, and then we'll do something like that. Okay, so now I have it sectioned off without having actual lines, but you don't have to do that. You can also highlight. So for appointments, I'm going to put all appointments here. So I'm going to put mine. So I have 3 p.m. dentist. I'm going to do, my husband has a 2 p.m. doctor's. And then we'll say G2 has 1 p.m. We'll also say doctor. So now my appointments are all on the top here. And I'm going to highlight them. And I'm going to make my appointments always this light blue. Okay. And they're always going to be on the top here. So I'm going to tell you one of the things I was thinking of doing if I was going to do this, because I did think about this method too. I think I do prefer using the horizontal as a vertical block, but so we'll just say that appointments. Okay, next we're gonna have whatever's next. We'll figure that out in a second. Okay, so then I'm gonna come here and do this. Now this is a little more maintenance, so you may not want to do it quite like this. Maybe you want more like this one. And the last one, I think we'll do pink. I don't know why, because it's gonna be bright. This blue and green is probably too close together. I should have done like orange or something in the middle. Okay, but you get the picture. And then we'll do here. Okay. So these versions where it's touching actually looks pretty confusing now that I'm looking at it. So if I was going to do that, I might do a line in between. You know. Okay. So appointments up top. And then we have maybe work here. So the reason I'm doing appointments at top is because those are the things I really need to make sure I have an idea of what's going on for the day. So the first thing I look at is going to be people's appointments. Then I'm going to do my work, and it's going to be me 9 to 5, husband, we'll say 8 to 4. We'll say my second son has 10 to 3. Okay, so that's like a little work schedule all the way across. Obviously, the other thing you could do, and I shouldn't have done this second one, is you can do colors for the people. But what I'm doing now is I'm putting mine first, then my husband's, then my son's. But I could do mine purple, my husband's blue, and my son's green, instead of doing it, you know, kind of like this. But the point is, you're always putting appointments at the top. You're always putting work in the middle. And then you're always going to put errands, we'll say, on the bottom. So we'll do Thursday too, just to kind of show, because I think I made this pretty confusing. This is number 6. So top is always going to be appointments. So whatever's up here, I put the initial for myself. I should put H for hubs. H for hubs. G3 for my son. And this light blue on top is always appointments. And then for here, it's always work, right? So me, my husband, and maybe my second son is working today. And then this bottom one is always errands. For me, maybe I need my husband to pick up, maybe I need my husband to go to the bank, maybe I need my first son to go to the post office, kind of thing. Okay, so USPS, we'll say bank, and my errands are groceries. All right, so I know this is kind of confusing, but the idea, because I messed it up with the highlighting, the idea is that the top line is always appointments, the middle line is always work, and the bottom line is always errands. You can leave it blank and separate it with lines. You can leave it blank and just have it, you know, look more like this across. So you're still kind of separating off or blocking off, but long ways. And so every day when you come to your planner, you know the top line is appointments, you know the middle line is work, and you know the bottom line is errands. And those obviously are the categories I just thought of, but you can think of anything. And you could probably do 4. You could probably put a 4th in there. All right. And then over here, I'm still going to do my to-dos, which is maybe I'm going to do a marinade. Maybe I'm going to sweep, always fold, and then maybe some laundry. And there can be other things over here, but this is my to-do. But you can also split this into a similar system if you have more categories. And that would look like, we'll do it like this, so you can see. And maybe this is exercise. So I'm gonna say wellness. I'm gonna do it without the colors, and then this one is going to be meals, maybe. And then this one is going to be, we'll say home, because we didn't do a list now. And so wellness is going to be run for 20. Meals are going to be, I'm just doing bagels and chicken. And then home is going to be sweep, fold, and then laundry. So now on the second side, this top line is always going to be wellness, and you don't have to draw a line. You could just make it where you know that what you write on the top is always wellness. This middle line is always meals, and then this last line is always home. These categories can be switched up. You can make 4, you can make 2, you can do whatever you want, and if it's not working for 1 week, switch it up and try something else. Okay, so basically number 6 is a horizontal block layout is what we're doing, or part horizontal and part to-do list. Okay, so number 7. Number 7 is going to be basically this same system, but with people. Okay, so the top line is always me. The second line is always hubs. The third line is always, let's say, parents, like if we do stuff with our parents. Okay, and then on this other side, I'm going to split it into kids. G1, G2, G3, and those are my 3 sons. And so now everything written here is going to be his. So I could put work, 9 to 5. I can put 3 p.m. dentist, Okay, and that's what my first son has. Second son, same thing. He could do work, 8 to 2, 1 p.m. doctor. So now I always know when I come to my planner that this top line is always me. We'll fold it this way. And so I can put work and anything up there. Second line is always my husband. Work and whatever else he has. Third is my parents, because sometimes we take them to lunch, we may have phone calls or whatever with them. But if you have a fourth kid, you can start the kids over here. And then I have the 3 kids over here. And then for first son, second son, third son, always going to be in line. So I always know the top of the day is going to be my oldest son. The middle is my middle son. And the third is my youngest son. So this I'm calling number 7 because it's a very similar, but now we're just doing people. And this is like if you're kind of keeping track of everybody. Now you might want to, if you're going to do this system, switch to the 05 pen, because you can see that my first son, he has work and 3 p.m. dentist. I don't have a ton of other room for him, but I could put like a couple small things here. Let's say soccer at 4, and then let's say, study group, and I could only fit study, and I'll do 6. Okay, so that actually looks pretty messy, but you can see it did kind of fit on the end then with the 0.5, but if I'd used the 05 for the whole thing, I probably could have fit a lot more. Also, you can highlight still the colors, and you can make the people across. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to make myself always purple, so every day I'm going to be purple. Every day my husband's going to be this light blue. Every day our parents are going to be, we'll do like this bright orange, red. And then the 3 sons will do blue, a darker blue, we'll do a gray, and then we'll do a green. Okay, so what's nice about having highlighters in this system where you're doing people is, let's say, see how study hangs down a little, I can come down and do it here. And let's just say I had to do one more, let's say movie 9. And he had to kind of come down here, right? I could draw a box, or I can just still highlight it. And because the second son didn't have as much, I can still see that that's my first son that has the blue. That's messy, but it's just like in tight times, I would really probably just come over here and do movie. Like this, you know, under where I was still under his section. But I like this a lot. I thought about doing this for my categories, where I would write the list across of wellness, the list of cross of work, you know, etc. And I think it's actually, I think it's a really great way to go if you like being horizontal and writing horizontal, or even writing bigger as well, because you can see you can kind of write a little bigger than you could in some of these little columns. And it gets a lot of information on your planner. This could also work again for the mini. Now the thing about the mini, what we do when we have a big is we have like bigger spaces between our dashes. We write bigger. We might leave bigger spaces in between here. Like, look how big this space is. When you have a mini, you're still gonna have a space there. It just might be over a tiny bit. And so it still all fits. I'm actually really surprised how the Laurel Denise Smalls fit so much information. There are actually a lot of videos here on YouTube where gals have taken their big planners for a whole week of everything that they wrote and put it into the mini to see if it fit, and it did all fit. Okay, and then again, you still have your monthly over here for anything else. So let's just say I want to keep track of the weather daily. I can do that over here. So it's just like kind of like a fun section, or I could do appointments over here. I could do meal planning over here on the monthly because I didn't have it left over here. But then again, remember, you can always do your meal planning over here on your this week as well. So there's plenty of space. And having the monthly here, I haven't talked about this enough, because this really is an extension of your week. So if something did not fit, let's just say my husband, okay, which one's my husband? Here in the blue. I didn't have enough room for his appointments on Thursday the 8th. I can come here with the blue on Thursday the 8th and write in his appointments too. So whatever else didn't fit, I can write on here. So this is the extension where I will know, and I can see them right here. See how close they are. I can see them right here and see what appointments are when. So I always see this and I always check it. Every day I look at whatever the date is and see what's on my daily and make sure that I have the information here on my daily. So remember, this is an extension. It could be weather, it could be your workouts over here, it could be your meals over here, it could be just appointments, birthdays, and anniversaries, and then leave appointments off of here, but color code it to see whose it is. And you don't have to color code either. You could write, you know, the person's name instead of color coding. I think color coding is a nice way to help it pop there, where you could say, oh, you see the, for instance, my son and my second son is gray. I see the gray over here and I can say, oh, hey honey, remember you have whatever appointment today. Okay, so that is number 7. Number 8. So number 8 is kind of having this instead of a main planner, as a supplemental planner or an afterthought planner. I'm kind of doing this now in one of my planners. So instead of like kind of keeping track planner, I'm not writing anything earth-shattering or super important, but what I'm doing right now in my planner, and I'll just show you, even though it's really messy and like the things that I'm choosing to write are not important. It's like super lame, but yeah. So it's not a back planning, but throughout the day I'm writing things that I did or things that I want to remember. So like here, I started doing the weather over here now, but I just used to write it sunny, 50 degrees. Okay. What did I do? We did lawn darts. My husband refused to walk with me. We usually walk up the lane a little, and then, you know, we don't usually. He almost never goes, but the boys and I walk up the lane a little, and I always ask him so he can get some sunshine. But anyway, so I just put that on there. I texted my mom. The boys are planning for Comic-Con. I put some of the work stuff I did on here. Pick up my husband from the airport. So it's kind of like, it's not really a back planning, but it's like things that happen during the day. So for instance, today, the boys walked, we didn't play lawn darts. I finished my episode of it's like 10 Pound Palm show. I finished an episode of that. Clean and sweep and fold is what I want to do. I've started some folding, you know, so that's some of the things I want to do. It's kind of like a catch-all list, but it's a mess and there's no organization. I like this because I can look back and, so what in the world did I even do yesterday? I don't even remember. And I have it now here. Whereas when you're planning ahead, you have like what you want to do for the day, but did you do it? And if you didn't do the stuff, like if I look here and I'm like, I didn't do any of that, what did I do? Then I still have stuff here that took up my day that I know I did something. So this method, which is number 8, is basically writing important things over here. So like the 9th, I would write, and I guess I'm just gonna do it. I would write like an appointment. So like say 3 p.m. dentist, because we're sticking with that. I could do work, 9 to 5, and maybe an errand. So USPS, okay? Ran to the post office. Now on the 9th over here, I'm just gonna write things like the weather. Okay, so 50 degrees, sunny, okay, weather. And then I'm gonna write short walk, and then maybe pancake breakfast, you know, just very informal, but it kind of shows how my day was, what my day was, what I did. What else can I say? Sweep, kitchen, chat with G1 about future. Okay, so little things like that. And now I'm saying, okay, this is what I have to do, the things that I want to get done, but this is also some things that happen. It's kind of a journal, but not as, you know, thoughtful as a journal. Kind of like just like happenings. What I put as daily happenings is what I put in my current planner of what I'm doing on that section is just daily happenings, daily things. Like maybe I got a package in the mail. Did I get a package today? Let's say I got a gift in the mail. Gift in mail. I didn't, but let's say I did. Okay, so just things like that. Boys look at coin collection. because they did that. Look at coins. Okay, and it's super messy like this. It's not organized like any of these other methods. I'm just kind of writing what happened through the day and what's going on through the day. And then things that I have to do over here. Now, if I wanted to put some things that I wanted to do, like just say I didn't have the other planners and I kind of like this very like relaxed way of writing or tracking my day, and let's say I want to have some things I wanted to do, I would put a post-it in here and down here, right, like fold all, because we always have one way to fold, sweep, you know, let's say I want to exercise. Okay, and I would put that below. And so this is what I want to do, whether I do it or not. But this is actually some of the stuff that filled my day. What I love about having this in my planner right now is that, like I just said, sometimes I'm like, I didn't check off the things that I wanted to do or I was supposed to do. And I'm like, what did I even do with my day? What did I do? Where did the day go? Like, I know I didn't just sit there, like what? And so then this kind of has a little bit of a record, and I fill it out throughout the day. So I have it open during the day and I just come and kind of write, like if I just did something, what I did. And I think it's kind of fun. So it's a very informal way of planning. I think maybe like even the unplanning, but important things here, kind of what I did here, and then things that I want to do on a post-it that can be moved. So let's just say I started on Monday. This would be what I wanted to do. Because I have an erasable pen, let's say I turned sweep into dust, because I already swept, but I didn't do these other things. I could do dust and just move it down for the next day. So this is number 8. We're calling it informal. Number 8. Informal planner. And I stopped writing what they were on the side. So I might write it up here later. Okay, so number 9, we're running out of space, is a little complicated, and then we'll talk about number 10 in the next week. Number 9 is to kind of make your list and then do a timeline. So you can use any of these. For this side, you use any of these sections. You can use the block, you can use these horizontal columns, you can kind of do like an informal thing. What else do we have? We have a different kind of block. We have color coding. We have bullet sections here. Very loose up here writing. So however you're going to plan your day. Let's do bullet here. Okay. And we'll do it like the things that have to happen today, okay? So has to happen. I'm gonna put them in no certain order, although it probably makes sense to put them in better order. Dentist, 3 p.m. work, 10 to 4, sweep, what else? Fold, we'll say G2 soccer, 4, G1 study group, 6, G3, we'll say he's working, 10 to 3, okay. We'll put errands in here, USPS, we'll put the bank in here, groceries, what else? Lunch with mom. Okay, I think we actually, I didn't leave enough room for this. Yeah, so we'll flip the week for this. So hold on. There's an idea here, but we have to flip the week for it. Okay, so I have this list here that I already kind of wrote. So I'm not gonna flip the week, but I am gonna show you on the next week, because what you would do is this kind of thing every day over here, but this whole second side is going to be used for time blocking. So let's show that. I did this once for 1 week, and I did kind of think it was too much work. So you are going to have to decide what you think about it. But the first thing we're going to do is white out this line over here. Oops. And I'll show you how I'm doing this now. All right, then we're gonna extend these lines over. We kind of talked about like time situating your schedule. And the one thing that can be kind of annoying about that is if you write something and it's not in the right time frame. Okay, so now let's white this out too. So you can see this is going to take effort, but I'm going to show you an easier way to do it as well. So, I mean, don't get discouraged, but I mean, if you have time to set up your planner, if you take some time to set up your planner, it's like one of the things you like to do, it's relaxing, then this can work for you. Because I'm doing it in half with an eyeball, you know, eyeball it in half. I'm gonna eyeball this one in half. Oops. Definitely use erasable unless you're really good at this. Then we're gonna eyeball this in half. Okay, so Wednesday's our half day, meaning we have 3 days on top, 3 days on bottom. Wednesday's gonna go in half. So and I'm eyeballing it again. And I'm going to highlight it so I can see where Wednesday splits, okay? I should have done something other than gray, but anyway, you can see. Darn it. Okay. Now, we are going to make this second side into time blocking. So, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I have a week column. So in fact, I'll just erase these. You don't have to draw these bottom ones across. So stop at the top Wednesday one, drawing across. So I don't really remember how I did this, and I don't have those pages anymore. But so now this is going to be a to-do, or whatever you want it to be. It can be meals, anything over here. All right, I am going to white out these days too. Guys, I know this is reaching, this is crazy. Trust me, there's an easier way, but I did do this just to see how it would work. Okay, so let's do 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that gets to 10 if you write really small. Let's say you don't want to write that small. Let's do 4 each. Eight, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you can do 8 and 9. So now it gets us to 9 p.m. Your choice on whether you want to draw lines across. I do think it's a good idea to do. So I'm going to go right under the numbers and draw them across. They're going to be crooked. That's okay. And we're going to do this top and bottom, but I'm only going to show you the top because that's all we really need to get the gist of it. So what I was doing is really wanting, when I was trying to think of a Nancy as my only planner, I really wanted to do time blocking. And currently my planner, if you've seen my videos lately, I don't have a time block right now. But I actually did just add one, and I'll show you how, because that explains kind of like everything here. Okay, that's super messy. You can make this as neat as you want. All right, so now let's say on my list, let's go back to my little list over here, which I know is on the back, the other page. Okay, so we're gonna pretend like this one's not here. I have dentist at 3 p.m. So let's say that's Sunday. Let's actually, whatever day it is. Let's do Monday, okay? Dentist. Okay, and I will say, did I say who had the dentist? I would say me. My dentist. Okay, so I wrote that at 3 p.m. on Monday. So we're gonna do all of this on Monday. We have work 10 to 4. So I'm gonna say work and draw down 10 to 4, okay? And I can color code that if I want. But we also have my other son works 10 to 3, so I'm going to do 10 to 3 for work. Okay, and we'll distinguish those in a second. We have soccer at 4 p.m. Soccer. We have study group at 6 p.m. Okay. So we have to fill in the bank, the grocery. We have lunch with mom, which is going to be 12. So we'll say lunch with mom. All right. So now I have a time blocking here. Now for my work, I'm just going to do pink, you know, to show that this is my work. Okay. For my son's work, and this would be where you would color code maybe over here or somewhere over here, the colors of your family. So this son that's working is green. So his work is 10 to 3. My work is 10 to 4. I have lunch with mom. I could come in here and do this. This is me, lunch with mom. This is me, my dentist. Soccer is what, this son, I think, this same son. Third son will be, or second son will be study group, you know, etc. So now I have a time blocking system that I made, and this is without doing anything else. You have your normal page, and here I'm going to fill in, so now I can fill in USPS. Let's do it at 9, okay? USPS at 9. What else did I have to do? The bank. Maybe I'm going to do the bank right before I go back to work. Or I could do it maybe right when I get off. So let's do the bank when I get off, actually. So I'm going to do the bank when I get off before it closes. And then grocery order. Let's do groceries early morning. I also have sweep, fold. I'll do that when I get home. So I'll do clean right here too. Around 5, and I'll do clean down to 7. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to come back in and highlight everything that's mine, which is most of it, right? I'm doing the groceries. I'm doing the USPS. I'm doing the bank and cleaning. Okay. So it's a little messy, but it definitely does the job, or you can see everything that everybody's doing and the times. Now I would continue this, and I would also do this down here. So I would do timelines. So timeline on the top for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or you could do your notes up here and do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, timeline up here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You could do your notes, whichever section, okay? Now the last, this is number 8, and I know it's kind of confusing. So basically, let's just go over it. You write your list of things that you need to do. Now, I did it back here, but I had dentist at 3 p.m. It's on here, but it would be right here. I would have it listed here, and I would take Mondays and just put it over here. Sunday stuff, I would put down here. Tuesday stuff, I would put here, etc. Okay, whether I have this as a note, you decide if you want your notes here or if you want them down here, but I put them down here. So this is a way to get time blocking into your schedule onto your Nancy. And I'm not going to say it's seamless, but it actually can look really nice if you take a little time. So I did this for a week. It worked out super well. I just didn't want to keep doing it when I came up with another idea, which we'll talk about. But the other idea is going to cost money. So this is a free way to turn your Nancy into a timeline. I'll tell you one other thing that I did though. previously is I made this a master list timeline. That doesn't necessarily work if you have a lot of things going on, where I put working in the morning, cleaning in the afternoon, dinner, work again. And I just kind of made like a master timeline of what I wanted my day to look like overall, like if I had my best day, how I would arrange it, kind of thing. And I also have done one over here with this dot grid and use the dot grid to make the timelines. So those are two other options. Those are, the one definitely over here in the notes is on my channel. I don't know if the one in the weekly is on my channel. This one I'm pretty confident is not on my channel. Yeah, I don't think I filmed it. I just think I tried it. But anyway, so now I'm filming it and I'm showing you. So whatever is on Wednesday, you come here on Wednesday, you write in your appointments. Now, if you have nothing, you can kind of plan your day how you want. Let's say Wednesday I don't have a lot. I want to work in the morning. And maybe I want to work till 2. This is like if you do your own schedule. Like if you have your own schedule, a day off. Then you want to clean. Okay, and then, you know, obviously dinner, etc. So I could do something like this, and then I can come in and put what I want to do for work. I want to edit. I want to list on eBay. Okay, so that is another way to use a timeline, and it's super useful. But especially if you have a lot of things going on. I only have 3 colors here, but I could have put my husband in here for like a dentist appointment. So the point is, I did like this. I didn't love the time it took to set up, but the way that it was efficient, it was worth it. All right, so that's number 8, making your own timeline here, or in a master timeline idea, time blocking idea over here in the weekly, or making a master time blocking idea over here on your notes where you can see it at all times. Those are ways to have time blocking in your Nancy. So let's scratch this for a moment. And what we're gonna do now is pretend like this is a long column. Okay, so all of these are gone and Thursday is up here. So now I'm going to change this. You're going to ignore like the timeline. You could always make your Nancy lined like this if you want to. Okay, and this can still be to do. So we're going to erase all this. Do I have another week? You know what, I do. Yeah, we're just going to flip the page for the next one. I was going to try to do it here, but we're going to flip the page. All right, we are going to do a very similar thing with whiting out this line. You can use a ruler with whiteout and get a really nice line, not like this messy one. We're gonna white out this week and white out to do today. Okay, so put this into 4 sections. So this is the 10th way to use your Nancy. 10th and final way, and let's just say the horizontal is driving you crazy. The block layout, even though it has a horizontal or vertical orientation, is still not what you're looking for. I'm eyeballing this again, gals. You can turn your Nancy into a vertical. So if I was doing this full time, I would I'm gonna draw these just, no, not there. I'm gonna finish this over just like for some consistency, but okay. So I'm gonna tell you what's nice about this method. I did use my planner for a week also in this method, and it works well. We're whiting out all the days here. Oh, and also we would white out the dates. Okay, so we'll white out the dates as well, because this is the full example. Quite messy. Okay, we're gonna do the same on this side. We're gonna make it into 4 columns. And you might see where this is going. If you are just hating the horizontal, you do not have to buy a new planner. You can. It would probably be worth it in a lot of ways, but let's just say your budget is blown. You can make your Nancy into a vertical, and I'm going to show you why you might like it a little better. Now, take your time with these lines. I'm doing it just for display, so I'm not doing the best job. I just don't want this video to be forever, which it already is. Okay. So now, this is what, the last week? This is, yeah, this 18th week. So now I'm going to write the days over here on the top. Sunday the 18th. Monday the 19th. You get the picture. Tuesday 20th. I made this really big when I was redating. You wouldn't have that here. You would have a very simple, I'll show you in a second. Wednesday the 21st. Now, I'm starting here on Sunday, but I could leave this as my list column here because it has all these messy things, and I can make Sunday, Monday, Tuesday there. Maybe we can do that because that, you know how this just kind of looks messy. It could get in the way of your writing as whiteout's kind of a pain to write around. So we'll do Sunday the 18th here, Monday the 19th, Tuesday the 20th. Okay, now let me show you what your actual Nancy will look like on the top if you don't redate it. And you can, if you don't redate it, and you can still redate it and just not have it as, so it looks very sleek like this on the top, where you're gonna have room to write your days. Okay, so I use big stickers, a lot of whiteout because I redated. So then we'll do Wednesday the 21st. Tuesday, oh, Thursday, Tuesday. And then again, you might want to leave this one since it was blank as your to-do column, but that's okay. So now this is what we have. And I mean, you probably, if you've ever watched the Laurel Denise channel, you know they say there's no perfect in planning. That is so true. So, so true. So you don't have to be afraid to do something like this. And if you really hate it, you don't have to do it again the next week. It can be a 1 week time. But so the first thing I think you want to think about is if you want this to be your to-do section or this that didn't have lines, I would have used a ruler if I'm doing this myself to make straighter lines, I think. All right, so now another benefit though of having this to do over here as a to-do list is you can write categories. So you could just do a whole list down. But here I'm gonna write like top 3. Now I'm gonna write work. I'm going to write clean. Appointments, I should have done those earlier. That's gonna also be errands. Let's do exercise. We'll do self-care. And I'll do meals. Okay, so now all the way across, this is gonna be my top 3 for the day. So let's say top 3 might be USPS, it might be the bank, and dentist, okay. Those are the top 3 things I wanna focus on. Work, I'm gonna put 10 to 4, and I might put like I need to film and I need to edit type of thing. Okay, clean, I'm going to put sweep, fold, and laundry. Now I can fit a lot more on here. I'm writing really small. Let's say for appointments I want to do everybody's. So I'm saying 3 p.m. dentist. I'm going to say 2 p.m. say for my husband. And it's going to be me. Husband is going to be 2 p.m. and I'm going to say dentist. G1. Let's say 1 p.m. doctor, 2 p.m. doctor. Okay. So I fit 5 appointments. I can fit more. So you can fit a lot in there. Category exercise. Let's say 20-minute walk, and let's say bike for 20. self-care, and it can be anything. Stretch, invert. What else? We'll say face mask. And then meals. Breakfast can be, we'll do what we've been doing, bagels. And dinner can be chicken. Okay, so now I've done a vertical block layout where this is all I did on Sunday, all I do on Monday, all I do on Tuesday, and you literally can just do a list down. It doesn't have to be, you know, whatever I did in sections. You don't have to make sections. You can make sections, you don't have to make sections. You can just make a list of what needs to be done. The nice thing about sections is you can always remember the second one's work, the third one's cleaning. That's nice. The other thing you can do with a vertical like this now is you can make a time blocking. And so let's do it on this side. And I'm gonna do it backwards. 20, 19, 18, 17. So we didn't white these out, but we will. $16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, so if I do 4, and obviously you can do a lot less, and then we can draw the lines across. Now I have a time blocking vertical planner 2 with room for, we'll finish this off, and then I'll show you room for tasks on top. Okay, super messy, but number 10, and now I have all this space on top still for tasks. I can now categorize these off, like work, home, kids, or I don't have to, and I can just make lists and fill it into my timeline down at the bottom. Number 10 is making it into a vertical. You can make it into a vertical plane, you can make it into time blocking. Also with time blocking, you can make 2 lines per time, and I will show you that in a moment. But this is basically number 10. You hate a horizontal, it's not working for you, turn it into a vertical. Yeah, it takes time, but I do think the outcome is worth it if you don't have the budget to grab a vertical and you're just so much hating the horizontal, because now you have really fun block sections. This reminds me of what a lot of gals try to do with the Happy Planner teacher layout. We put our days on top, and then we have our categories here, and we kind of use it as, you know, social media or anything, but you can turn this horizontal into a vertical. Now let me show you the actual Laurel Denise vertical, because the actual Laurel Denise vertical, you can buy the inserts, or if you have an extra Laurel Denise vertical, you can use it with your horizontal. And I think we're gonna have to go, oh, we have one more week, thankfully. So I'm just gonna pop this in. This has been previously clipped out. And to clip it out, you just go in between this twin loop, you hold the page up and you clip. Or if you have a vertical insert like this. Okay, so this is the easier way to get a timeline for your weekly. So now I have my normal weekly over here for time blocking. You have 29 lines here, so you can do 14 each and do like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. For example, you could draw more lines up here. You do 4 more lines, and then you'd have, and you can make this into a time block. So there's a couple ways, but you can also use this whole sheet as Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and again, I'm a Sunday star, but you could do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then flip it over, and I have done this, and now do the time block. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the bottom parts. Or split it in half like we did with this back one. So how we did this, how we did with this one, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can make the top Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the bottom and make it into a timeline. So I'll show you how I'm using it in my personal planner right now. And then we will just recap how we did 10 different ways to use the Nancy. And I know this has been a super long video. Okay, so right now I'm using Passionate Penny Pincher Planner. And, oh, so this is an example. I'll show you. This is actually today. I like this because my second half of the week has 4 days over here, and then I have 4 days on this Laurel Denise. So it works really well in this planner. But this is what we have. Sunday time blocking, Monday time blocking, Tuesday time blocking. And then I flip it. Wednesday time blocking, Thursday time blocking, Friday time blocking, and Saturday time blocking. So I'm using it for the whole day, and this is just kind of a list of important things to focus on up here. Where when I write on this Passionate Penny Pincher Planner, sometimes I write my focus over here, but this is just kind of looks like a list to me, and it does blend together. So I like to have something over here where I can write like my top thought for the day, and this is today. So that's how I'm using it in my current planner. But if I was going to use it in, and I have done it before, but I don't have it anymore. If I was going to use it with my Laurel Denise horizontal planner, I guess we'll just do this page up. Okay, we'll do this page for it. I would do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, okay, like this. I would have it popped in. And then on Tuesday, and I'd write in my time, and I'll do that too, actually. So I'll do 20, 19, 18. I'm doing military time. I know it's kind of confusing, but okay. And I'll do it from there. Oh, and not there. So to use the insert from Laurel Denise of her vertical in conjunction with the horizontal, you now have however you want to use one of the many ways that we showed that you could use your planner over here, and now you have time blocking on top of it with a top focus over here. So this is nice too, because sometimes things will get like, missed in this list. You may not see it as a focus in some of these lists. So that is how I would use Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, instead of having it like this covering my days here, and let's just say in this case, let's go to the last week because it's less confusing. I still have this whole to-do section over here, so I can come back in. Let's get that on a little better. Okay. So I can still see, and it's like an open week, right? So I see my whole time blocking. Now I can flip over here to the next and just have my to-do list as well. And this is like when I have time to-do lists that I can either schedule in here, or I just know, oh, I have time right now. Like I have a 30-minute, window here at 3:30. Why don't I come here and check on some of my list? Okay, so that's how I would use it if I'm using the Nancy with this insert. But then for the second part of the week, because I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday here, I would turn it upside down. The reason is I don't want to have to flip. So if this is on, I have it, and I leave it like this. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be here, but I'll have to flip and say what's for Wednesday and then flip, and I don't like doing that. I like it here Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So what I would do is if I was using this as a horizontal and as an insert, or even if I have this particular one is from an extra and planner that I bought during clearance, I would flip it upside down for the second half of the week. So now my Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is filled out here. So we'll put up here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now for my to-do list over here, what I would have done is done Post-its, and you can cut them down. You can cut Post-its down, or if you have her Post-its, they might fit right in there. But you can cut your Post-its down here. So let's do, I'll do pink because I'm running lower on that. Let's cut this down to about this size, okay? So like, I think it's about thirds will work pretty well, okay? And this is my to-do list here. And it was like this for the first half of the week. So now I can still have my to-do list, and I also do have a to-do list here, but whatever you're gonna use this for. You can put them on Post-its and now turn it upside down so it's easier to see. So whatever I had here is now right side up on my extra list. May not even need that with this extra list, but this could be exercise ideas, meal ideas, whatever it is, okay? So you can now have it flipped so that you can see it right side up now. You have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday up here, and now I'm going to do, and I'll tell you why. So we'll do it over here on this side. It's a little backwards, so you can write the numbers here if you want. But we're gonna do it here because you have the gap. Oops, I forgot 11. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay, and then, I mean, you could do earlier if you want. I'm doing till 8. You can get 6, you can get up to 6 a.m. up here. All right, so now I have my time blocking for Wednesday, Thursday, but I can see it. Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, Friday, and Saturday, Saturday. I have room for things to think about up here, down here, and I have room for things to think of down here. I would cover this probably with like washi, or you can write it out and put a note down there, meals down there or something. I don't know, whatever you would want to do down there. So now you have a time blocking. You're looking at your appointments and errands and work with your time blocking here. And then you can flip over here and just look at your if time to-do list basically, or even exercises you want to do, meals, whatever you have over here, whatever you have here, you can flip and look at it real quickly and add it into your schedule. So this is how I would do a time blocking if I was adding a time blocking to a Nancy, but obviously you can do the drawn out time blocking as well. Okay, so let's go back through. I know my kids are kind of loud in the background, but that's what happens in life. Let's go back through and see, just go over all of the ways that we went over as examples of how to use your Nancy. And the whole time I do just want to remind you, your monthly is here the whole time as an extension. So anything that you didn't have room for over here, you can add to your monthly and just make that on your monthly all the time. So appointments would be a good thing to put over here, or kids games or kids schedules. Things with time could go really well over here, like the example on the 9th. All right, so our first way is just to use it normally, where you're just kind of writing in what you have to do and doing your to-dos over here. So that's your first way. So I just wrote general things that were happening for the day. I wrote a dinner in there, and then I just wrote my to-do list over here. Number 2 was bullet points and kind of separating with bullet points. So I put like appointments and work over here, and I put like errands here. Then I did bullet points for my to-do list. I did 2 versions of this because you can separate it by color highlighting per person. So here I just have it written down: dentist appointment, work, and lunch. Those were all for me personally, but if I want to put other things in here for my family, I can now put them in the second section over here and highlight them color code. And then I'm just going to have a key somewhere on my planner to show who's what color. So we had soccer, ballet, and movie as an example for my kids, and I put my kids as different colors. These example kids as different colors, and I highlighted to see who had soccer, who had ballet, who had a movie. And then this was still all my stuff, and then these were my errands and things that I needed to get done over here. So those are examples, bullet points for number 2. Number 3 is topic colors. This is topic colors, but we really did person color here still too. Kind of did a combination. The kids are this bright yellow. I didn't differentiate between which kid, but you could further break this down. They could have 3 different shades of green, or like, you know, pink and blue, whatever their favorite colors are, whatever you want to do for your kids. You don't have to just do yellow, so you can break it down further. I have work for this nice green, and then I have personal for this light blue. So it's like a color coding topic, still in the bullet type layout, but you don't have to do bullets. You could write across as well and still just color code it. So number 3 is basically color coding your topics or your people, and just having it written down, not necessarily in the sections where this was personal, this is family, this is personal, and this is errands. Now it's just kind of like all on here, but color coded. Color coding. Number 4 is blocking it off. So blocking it off, we did first with topics. So topics were work down, and so all your days would have work down in this first section. We'd have appointments. All your appointments for the week would be down in this second section. All your errands are, you know, you choose these, you switch them up. I did color code them just to show what you could do. And then I did a people coding, color coding as well. Me, my husband, and one of my sons over here for appointments. So for work, same thing for appointments. You could color code with yourself, your husband, your children. You can use as many colors as you want. Just make a key somewhere on your weekly. So all of these other colors are off now. And now we have these color coding for people. Because we do have errands over here, we did like some fun things over here, like dog appointments and football game schedules. So anything that you want to put over here. You still have this whole this week column, or you can put to-dos, cleaning, anything else, meals as well. So this was just an example of of blocking off topics. So for number 5, we did blocking off actual planner subjects, meaning this is all my planner, and this is why it's a separate one. I do have a section for my kids, but it's just one section, so they don't get like when they work, what they're going to do at home, what their errands are, what their exercise, etc. are. They just have a section here, and so this whole section would be for the kids here. But then I have my work, which is an entire planner that I'm using right now. So what I was doing is combining several planners. You could either use separate planners, or you could put them all in one planner in this block layout. The home and cleaning section, errands and appointments section, my kids section, which I did homeschool in here as well, movement, which would be exercise section, and self-care, this would be the wellness planner over here, and it would be all the way down. So I'm showing all the way down, but we only did the first 2 days as examples. It is topic related, but it's really all personal topics of things that I want to keep track of somehow. If I didn't want to put a section for the kids, I could just put goals and just put different goals. So it's breaking off topics that I could have my own planner for. And then remember, I did do meals over here, and then I also sectioned off work, home, exercise for to-do lists over here that would be also different planners. So this is how you can use one planner instead of several planners. The Nancy does work for that. And you don't have to block it off. You can still do bullet types for this too. So you don't have to do the lines. You can just, know that your first section is going to be work, your second section is going to be home, etc. So that is number 5. Number 6 was this kind of fun, also blocked off color coding line of things. So it's kind of like what we did here in the block, where we have appointments and work. Now we have appointments on the top, work in the middle here, errands as a third, and then still a to-do list over here. For the second example, I still did appointments, work, and errands, but now instead of having just a general to-do list, I added wellness, meals, and home. It's just showing that you could further kind of doing your blocks, but you're doing your blocks horizontally now. All the top lines on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the top line is going to be appointments, and they're all the light blue. All the light green is going to be work for the whole week in the middle of every day, and all the pink is going to be errands, etc. So you color code, or you don't have to. You just know that always your top section is appointments, your middle section is work, your last section is errands, and then depending on what you're doing over here, you also have top section wellness, meals, and home. All right, so for the number 7, I did this as a separate section because now we're just doing different people. So I put myself as purple, my husband blue, our parents as this peachy red, and then I did the boys each for a color. And what I'm doing is loading everything on this line that they have for the day. Now you can do this as a block layout too. This whole line could be me for the week, and it can be everything. exercise, wellness, cleaning, appointments. Same thing for husband, kids, and a separate line over here. The sectioning off with the highlighter works for the block layout as well, but this is number 7 because it's just, we're going by people and we're just writing everything down for the people for the day. And this is like maybe like a family command center, or you just want to keep track of everything that's going on with your family in one planner. This could be one way to do it. Number 8 was more of, remember we did appointments and important errands and work times for yourself personally up here on the 9th. Up here on the monthly, which is a really good way to use the monthly. And then for the day right here, we just kind of did like things that you did during the day. Remember I was talking about how sometimes I don't get the things on my list done in the day and I'm like, what did I even do today? So this is where this one comes in, where I just kind of write, I took a short walk, I swept the kitchen, I chatted with my son about his future, I got a gift in the mail, things like that. So this is kind of like a happenings list. Instead of like a very structured planner, it's like a daily happenings. I really like having this, but I have this as one of my planners. I don't have this as my only planner. I don't know if it would work as an only planner, but I think it could, because you still have this to-do list over here. So I could put to-dos over here. And then again, if they're not checked off right now, when I have my planner open and I don't have things checked off, I'm like, what did I do? But here you could have your list of what you wanted to do. And if it's not checked off, you could still say, oh yeah, I didn't do this, but look, I did this. And then I also put the weather on here, which could also go on the monthly as well. So it's kind of like an informal, I called it like an unplanning thing, but it's not exactly, because you would still have a list of things that you want to get done over here, and then you just kind of put throughout the day like what you did. So that's kind of a fun way to do it. Number 9 is time blocking. So I have my day over here, but then I had to flip the page, because what I did is drew in a time blocking system over here. We have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a to-do list. Again, you could do a Monday start, obviously. You could also do your to-do list here, do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and have your to-do up here. And the idea is I would take whatever was on this day. This was a Saturday, but I pretended it was a Monday. I would take everything, I wrote everything down for Saturday, and now I'm going to take everything that's on the day and fill it into my time blocking so I can kind of see how my day goes. And I know what I'm going to do at 8. I'm going to order groceries. 9, I'm going to hit the post office. 10, I'm going to be to work, you know, and all the things. And now it's very structured from this kind of messy list of what I had to do for the day. So like ignore all this top stuff, but the messy list of things that I knew I had to do today. And now I've put them in a organized time list. It doesn't mean there's no flexibility, but this is like when I want to get these things done, or when I've time allowed them to get done. So if I don't get the groceries done at 8, the groceries order done at 8, I can always do it later, but this is when I want to schedule it. I've, scheduled it loosely, or it can be firm, whatever, but I have drawn in these timelines. So to finish this week, I would still write the times down here, write the lines, and finish off for the week. But what I like about this one is for the whole week, you see Sunday, Sunday, Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now you don't have, your to-do weekly list is shortened here. But you have space on top here that you could do meals, breakfast and dinner, breakfast and dinner. So there's still a lot of space, even if you're turning this whole other section into a time blocking section. But remember, we did have to white this out. It looks kind of messy, and some white out here that's kind of messy. But it's kind of like bullet journaling your second half of your Nancy into a timeline, into an hourly timeline for time blocking, which I think is super efficient. And especially if you have time to set this up every week. I like to set up my next week on Friday or Saturday night. So I would set the time aside and do this, and I have done this and it worked out well. So that's number 9, is this time blocking. Number 10 was turning it into a horizontal. There are 2 ways we set it up. You could either have your list section over here or your list section over here. And remember, we did again white out this line. And then we just drew a half line, eyeballed halfway between the halfways, half line, halfway between the halfways, and we made 8 rows. You have 7 days, so that means either your first row can be your list or to-do list. If you leave that, your first row, you have room for these categories. And I could even make my categories like this to make it, have more space. And this would be very similar to a Happy Planner teacher layout. where you're putting your categories here, and how we sometimes switch up the teacher layout to have categories here and our days on the week on top. Or you can do what I did here and write the categories very neatly on the side and still make this as a to-do list. It could be to-do for the category here, like work. This could be a to-do list for work, a to-do list for clean, or it could just be a long to-do list in general. But now we have vertical columns that we drew in: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Again, you could do Monday start, Monday, Tuesday, you know. And you have a whole vertical week now. So if the horizontal is driving you crazy, you don't like the block layout, you don't like any of the ways that we talked about already in the video, you can completely turn your horizontal into a vertical. I did this for an entire week. It was fun, it worked out really well, but I'm gonna tell you the thing that I did miss is having like my whole list of work all the way down, that I could see everything that I did for work. So I still have a block layout here, but it's a block across layout. So I preferred it vertical to see like, this is all I did for work. This is all I did for cleaning. This is all I did for etc. I didn't keep it after the first week, but I liked that I could do it. So if I really got tired, this is kind of just a list for the day, vertically down. Now on the second half of the page, we did a timeline on the bottom and then did topics on top: kids, home, and work. Those could be anything, and then you can still have a timeline on the bottom, or you can make a really long timeline very similar to this vertical here, where you could just spread it out higher and draw on the lines. So we drew in all those lines, that's why they look so messy. So again, this is effort. Now that's 10, but another bonus is just like the 11th, but it's not really an 11th because it's still doing time blocking vertically, is to pop in an extra and insert, a vertical insert, or I have an extra and planner that I clip this out of, make it into a time blocking for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I showed you how I would make these lists like this. So let's just say I'm gonna do these for meals for an example, okay? I don't know what I would actually use them for. So this is breakfast ideas. This is dinner ideas. Now for Sunday, I look at my tasks, fill them in. I have my top priorities here as a focus, which is really nice because sometimes they blend in this list. And then I have a breakfast list. So I might, you know, put, let's say I have eggs. I can either put an S here for Sunday, we'll say SU, or I can move it like somewhere over here, put it up here, wherever I want to put it, over here, so I know what meal I chose. Then, so that's for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. For Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I would recommend pulling it out and flipping it over. I'm going to take off my 2 Post-its, flip it over, put back my list now right side up because it kind of went upside down, topsy-turvy. And now when I flip over here, I can see my breakfast the right side up. This will all be upside down. So it can be covered with Post-its if that's going to bother you. But this will all be upside down from Sunday to Tuesday, and now I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So now I have Wednesday's items, Thursday's items, Friday's items, and Saturday's items. Put my top 3 up here, or something I really want to focus on, and just other to-dos down here. Washi here, or white this out and put what meal I chose down here. So those are all ideas. So now I have time blocking, which I wrote over here, but you could also write over here, and you could go up further if you need to for time. So this is how you can have a time blocking hourly layout mixed with your Nancy, just with inserts here. I really love this idea. And again, I am using this and insert and as time blocking right now in my current planner, and I like it a lot. It just helps me kind of see the organization of my day. So great idea for inserts. If you took advantage of the clearance planners, you can clip out some extra and pages. So this is just kind of like a bonus of number 9, how to get time blocking in your planner. All right, gals, I know this has been a super long video, but those are just some ideas, 10 ideas that I had on how you can use your Nancy planner. And then just remember, you still have all of this note page space over here, which we'll do another video on things that we can use this for. But it can basically be lists, meal planning, a bunch of Post-its of ideas that you can move around. That way, maybe you put exercises here, but you don't want that there anymore. You can put appointments, you can put anything, and you know, Post-its are great on this back page until you figure out exactly how you want to set it up. But we will do another video on how to set it up. A couple ways that I've used this though are for lists, for different things: cleaning, work, I put goals in these lists. I have even done a full meal plan here where I kind of wrote everything that I have as options and then made meal plans, breakfast up here, dinners up here, some snacks and stuff like that. So a lot of ways to use these back pages as well. Yeah, this is such a great planner. I love the Dutch Door Weeklies. I love the versatility. A lot of these ways could work. And again, I have used several of these ways. So don't think that if you start using one of the ways and you don't really like it, that you can't switch it up. You can switch it up to any of the other ways to use it. Also, check out Laurel Denise's YouTube channel because she goes a deep dive into Nancy of different ways that they have these. They kind of set up these personas that they either know about, or they kind of make up some person's schedule, or they make up an ideal person that has a schedule and they work through how that person can use her planner. Those are super fun videos and they are very, very helpful. So please check those out as well if you're really trying to figure out different ways to use your Nancy. And now we come to the end of the video. So if you are interested in Laurel Denise planners or inserts or stickers or anything she has to offer, my discount code is Tamber10 without any spaces, and I will have the link and the discount code in the description below. And you can go to her website, click through, put in the code and get 10% off any pen pouches, stickers, planners, inserts. She has so many fun things on her website that you can check out and save by using the code. But that is it for this video. Check back because we're going to be doing a 10 ways to use your Anne planner, 10 ways to use your Scout planner, and 10 ways to use your Rose planner in the future coming up as well. And we'll also be checking in on how I'm using and liking my planner as well. Thanks so much for joining me today on Tamper with a Plan. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.